I shouldn't be alive today. I should have died on February the 2nd, 2006. That was supposed to be my last day here in this physical life. Because on that day, the doctors had told my husband and my family that I only had a few more hours to live. I was dying from end-stage lymphoma, which is a form of cancer of the lymph nodes. I had struggled with cancer for 4 years up to that point. For 4 years, this disease had devoured my body. It had traveled through my lymphatic system. It started with a lump in my neck, and then it spread throughout my lymphatic system. By the end of 4 years, I had tumors, some of them the size of lemons, that had spread from the base of my skull, all around my neck, down into my chest, under my arms, and all the way to my abdomen. Also, even before I had gone into the coma, my lungs had been filled with fluid, and every time I would lie down, I would choke on my own fluid. My muscles had completely deteriorated, so I weighed about 85 pounds. I looked like just a skeleton with skin on. I had these big, gaping open skin lesions where the toxins were oozing out of my body. I wasn't able to digest any food. I had a persistent low-grade fever. I couldn't walk because my muscles had been deteriorated, so I was constantly lying down or being taken around in a wheelchair. I was connected to an oxygen tank all the time. I couldn't breathe without the aid of oxygen. And on that morning, on February the 2nd, 2006, I went into a coma. The doctors had said these were my final hours because now my organs had shut down. My organs were failing. So my family were told that if there was anybody that had to see me before I died, this was the time. Unbeknownst to everyone around me though, even though it appeared that I was in a coma and my eyes were closed, I was aware of everything that was going on all around me. I was aware of my husband, who was distressed, but he was by my side holding my hand. I was aware of everything the doctors were doing. They were putting tubes in me. They were removing fluid from my lungs so that I could breathe easier. I was aware of every single thing that was happening. It felt as though I had 360-degree peripheral vision. I could see everything happening all around my body, not just in the room where my body was, but even beyond. And it was as if I had expanded out of my body. I was aware of my physical body. I could see it lying there on that hospital bed, but I was no longer attached to that body. It felt as though I could be everywhere at the same time. It was like wherever I put my awareness, there I was. I was aware of my brother, who was in India. I was in Hong Kong. My brother was rushing to get on a plane to come and see me. He wanted to see me before I took my last breath, and I was aware of that. I felt as though I was with him. I saw him on the plane. And then I also became aware of my father and my best friend, both of whom I had lost. Both of them had crossed over, had died. But I became aware of their presence with me, as though they were guiding me and communicating with me. One thing that I felt in this amazing expansive state, I felt I was in like a realm of clarity where I understood everything. I understood why I had cancer. I understood that I was much greater. In fact, all of us are much greater and more powerful than we realize when we're in our physical bodies. I also felt as if I was connected to everybody, like all the doctors that were treating me, the nurses, my husband, my mother, my brother, and everybody. I felt as though we all shared the same consciousness. I felt as though I could feel what they were feeling. I could feel the distress they were feeling. I could feel the resignation of the doctors. But at the same time, I didn't get emotionally sucked into the drama, yet I understood what they were feeling. It's like we all share the same consciousness. It's like when we're not expressing in our physical bodies, you and I and all of us, we are all expressions of the same consciousness. That's what it felt like. I felt as though my father was trying to communicate with me that it wasn't my time, that I needed to go back into my body. At first, I didn't want to go back because I still felt as though I had a choice whether to come back or not. So at first, I absolutely did not want to go back into my body because I couldn't see a single good reason to go back into this sick and dying body. I was a burden on my family. I was suffering. There was no good reason, so I didn't want to go back. But in the next instant, it felt as if I completely understood that now that I knew what I knew, and because I understood what caused cancer, I knew that if I chose to go back to my body would heal very, very quickly. And so, in that moment, I made the decision to go back, and I heard as though my father and my best friend said to me, "Now that you know the truth of who you really are, go back and live your life fearlessly." And it was in those moments that I woke up from the coma, and my family was so relieved to see me. The doctors couldn't explain it. The doctors were there and they were surprised, but they were being very, very cautious because there was no way of knowing. I was still so weak. There was no way for anyone to know whether I was going to stay out of the coma or heal or go back. But I knew I was going to be fine, and I was telling my whole family, "I'm going to be fine. I know I'm going to be fine. It's not my time." Within 5 days, the tumors in my body had shrunk by 70%. After 5 weeks, I was released from the hospital to go home. I was completely cancer-free. Now, what has happened is that I've had to pick up my life from that point, and as you can imagine, my life feels completely different. It changed my view of the world. That experience changed my view of our physical bodies, my physical body, of illness, and how I perceive the world. Think about all the billions of dollars we are spending on cancer awareness. Think about all the cancer awareness campaigns. Imagine if we put that much money, energy, and effort into wellness awareness. What a different world we would have. Imagine if we put all our effort into peace instead of into fighting and wars. We would have a very different world if we changed our awareness. The most important thing that I learned, the most important thing we have here to focus our awareness on is love. And when I say love, it's very easy to say, or for us to say, we need to love other people. But one of the things I learned is that one of the reasons I got cancer is because I didn't love myself. That's hugely important. When we love ourselves, we value ourselves. When we value ourselves, we teach people how to treat us. When you love yourself, you find no need to control or bully other people, nor do you allow other people to control or bully you. So loving yourself is as important as loving everybody else. And the more you love yourself, the more love you have to give other people. The next biggest lesson I learned was to live life fearlessly. Most of us are brought up on a diet of fear. We're taught to fear everything. I used to fear everything. I used to fear cancer. I used to fear eating the wrong food. I used to fear displeasing people. I feared just about everything. I feared failing. Most of us are brought up fearing everything. People think that fear keeps you safe. That's not true. Love keeps you safe. When you love yourself and when you love other people, you'll make sure that you keep yourself safe and that you keep other people out of danger's way. Love keeps you much safer than fear does. The third thing I learned that is so important is humor, laughter, and joy. We're born knowing this stuff. We're born knowing that it's important to laugh because that's what kids do all the time. We're born knowing love and fearlessness, but it gets conditioned out of us as we grow up. Laughter is so important, and humor and finding your joy in life. It's more important than any other spiritual activity that you can think of. If we had more laughter, in fact, if even our politicians learned to laugh, we'd have a very different world. And if we had more laughter, you would have less people with illness, you'd need less hospitals, and you'd need less prisons as well. The fourth thing I learned is that life is a gift. It really is. Most of us live our lives as though life is a chore, but it shouldn't be that way. And it's unfortunate that only when we lose something that we value do we realize the true value of it. And it took me losing my life to realize the value of my life. And I don't want other people to make the same mistake, which is why I'm standing here sharing my message. Because I don't want people to realize when it's too late the value of their life. Your life is a gift. Even the challenges that come to you are a gift. When I had cancer, that was the biggest challenge I could ever have. But today when I look back on it, I feel it's the biggest gift I could have had. People think that cancer, or even I thought the cancer was killing me, but actually I was killing myself before I got cancer. Cancer saved my life. All your challenges are gifts. If you're in a challenge and it doesn't feel like a gift yet, it means you haven't got to the end yet. The fifth and final thing, which is so important that I learned, is that the most important thing for you is to always be yourself. Be you as you can be. Shine your light as brightly as you can. Embrace your uniqueness. Just realize who you are, get to know who you are, love yourself unconditionally, and just be yourself.